Chapter 1 Hareroot Hall. In the old times, the kings of the Danes were heroes, and stories were told and songs were sung about them all over Middle-earth. The first king was Shield-Sheafson. He arrived on the coast of Denmark as a baby, alone, in a boat filled with treasure. No one knew where he came from, but he grew into a fierce warrior and a great leader of men. When Shield died, he was given a hero's funeral. His body was placed in a boat, together with a treasure of gold, silver, and jewels. There were weapons and armor too, and a gold banner was put high above his head to show everyone who he was. The boat was pushed out to sea and slowly disappeared out of sight. So Shield returned to sea, where he had come from. No one knows if the boat, with its treasure, was ever found. Shield-Sheafson had a son called Beo, who ruled wisely and well for a long time. Beo's son, in turn, became the great king Halfdane. Halfdane had a daughter who married the Swedish king Onela, and he had 3 sons, Hrothgar, Hrothgar, and Halgar. It was Hrothgar who became the next king. He was successful in wars, so that many men wanted to serve him, and his army grew. He decided to build a great mead hall as a sign of his success and power, the most glorious mead hall in Middle-earth. Hrothgar called it Hareroot Hall. He wanted his mead hall to be the place from where he ruled his kingdom, but he also wanted it to be a place of happiness and celebration. So there were feasts every night in Hareroot Hall. The people ate and drank, and the bards sang stories of heroes and their adventures, and Hrothgar rewarded his followers with gifts of gold rings and other precious things. But the feasting and happiness did not last. There was a demon, a monstrous, deformed creature called Grendel, who hated the happiness of Hareroot Hall. He lived far from men, on the bleak moors, and on the coast where no one went. One night, angry and envious because of the laughter and singing, Grendel came from over the dark moors to the brightness of Hareroot Hall. The Danes had been feasting and drinking, and were all asleep. Grendel burst into the hall, seized 30 men, carried them away to his lair, and feasted greedily on their bodies. Later that night he returned, and left 30 half-eaten bodies covered in blood. When morning came, the Danes gazed in horror at what was left of their friends. King Hrothgar was so shocked that he couldn't speak. But the horror wasn't over. This was just the beginning. The next night, Grendel came back, hungry for more human flesh, and killed more of Hrothgar's men. After this night, no one slept in Hareroot Hall. The great hall which Hrothgar and the Danes had been so proud of was now abandoned by night. People went to sleep in the huts and buildings nearby, but even here they were not safe. Grendel was so strong, huge and terrifying that during the night he came over the bleak moors whenever he wanted, killing whoever he found. By night, Hareroot Hall was his, not Hrothgar's. For 12 long years, Grendel's rule of terror lasted, and the story of Grendel's attacks on the Danes and his appetite for human flesh was sung by bards all over the Middle-earth. One night, a bard was singing a story of Grendel in the mead hall of King Higelac in the land of the Geats, across the sea from Denmark. One man in particular paid great attention to the bard's song. His name was Beowulf. The bard reached the end of his song and said,
"And so the monster goes on murdering. No one can kill him."
Beowulf stood up.
"I can kill him,"
he shouted,
"and I will kill him."
"Brave man," said King Higelac, who was also Beowulf's uncle, and everyone shouted and cheered. The next morning, Beowulf chose 14 of the bravest Geat warriors to go with him to Denmark, and a boat was prepared for them. Higelac was proud of Beowulf as he said goodbye, but secretly he wondered if he would ever see him again. And the wives, parents, and children of the warriors had the same thought. The boat sailed across the sea, and the next day the warriors saw the cliffs of Denmark. But someone on the cliffs was watching the boat, a Danish watchman. When he saw 15 warriors in armour and carrying weapons, he was alarmed. He rode his horse down from the cliffs to the beach.
"Who are you?"
he shouted, pointing at them with his spear.
"Why have you come here? What do you want?"
Beowulf held up his right hand.
"We come in peace,"
he said.
"Continue,"
said the watchman.
"My name is Beowulf, and my men and I come from the land of the Geats, across the sea,"
said Beowulf.
"We have come to help your king, Hrothgar. We have heard about this demon, Grendel. We are here to kill him."
"Kill Grendel? Ha! Brave words,"
said the watchman.
"But no one has ever fought against Grendel and lived. He is a monster. But you're the biggest man I've ever seen. I want to believe you. Follow me. I'll take you to Herod Hall.